If you lost an arm, could it grow back? This animal can. It can also patch its heart and rebuild parts of its brain without a scar. Meet the axolotl. An axolotl can regrow a whole limb. Bone, muscle, nerves, skin, the lot. It can also fix parts of its heart and spinal cord, and even rebuild pieces of its forebrain. The new parts work. There is no stiff scar in the way. This is not a baby trick. Adults do it. They take an injury, turn it into a plan, and build a working replacement. Calmly. Over weeks, not years. Here is the path we will follow. First, what the axolotl is and where it lives. Then, step by step, how a new arm appears. We will see the hidden switch that nerves provide. We will meet immune cells that choose between scar and regrowth. And we will end with a quiet look at its fading home. Species name: Ambystoma mexicanum. It is a salamander from the old Lake Xochimilco basin in Mexico City. High up at about 2,240 meters. Thin air above, cool spring water below. It keeps its baby look for life. That is called neoteny, which just means it never grows out of its larval traits. It keeps feathery gills on the outside. It keeps a finned tail. It lives fully in water. Yet it still becomes an adult and breeds. A quick history flash. In 1863, a shipment of live axolotls reached Paris. At the Jardin des Plantes, Auguste Dumeril bred them. They stayed in their gilled form and still laid eggs. That Paris colony spread to labs around the world. It turned the axolotl into a symbol of regeneration science. So, how does a new arm appear? Picture the water at around 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. Within hours of a clean cut, the wound seals. By day 1, a smooth skin cover forms over the stump. That cover is called a wound epithelium. It is like a lid for healing. By days 3 to 5, a small bump rises. This bump is the blastema. Blastema is a fancy word for a growth mass made of builder cells. These cells will make bone, muscle, and skin. They gather under the skin lid and wait for the next cue. By week 3 to 4, tiny fingers bud out. The arm gains shape. Joints form, muscles link up, nerves and blood vessels thread into place. By 6 to 8 weeks, in a healthy adult, the limb is back and usable. No stiff scar, just a part you can swim with. The speed is not fixed. Cooler water slows it down. Warmer water, within what the animal can handle, speeds it up. Age and food also matter, but a forelimb often finishes in about 40 to 60 days. Here is the hidden switch. Nerves decide if it grows. If there are not enough nerves in the stump, the blastema stalls. The arm will not regrow. The body seems to ask, do we have the wiring and signals to support a new part or not? Old but clever experiments showed this. Scientists added an extra nerve to a shoulder. Then they made a tiny skin wound nearby. A small extra limb began to form. No bone cut, just a skin break near that boosted nerve supply. The nerves had unlocked the growth program. Modern work points to nerve signals as the green light. Growth cues like FGFs and neuregulin come from nerves. You do not need the names. The idea is simple. The nerve says go, and the stump starts to build a new part. The immune system also calls the shots. A type of white blood cell, the macrophage, is key. In a 2013 study, researchers briefly removed these cells after amputation. The axolotls then healed like mammals. They laid down a collagen scar. No blastema, no limb. With the right macrophage response, the story flips. Inflammation is quick and tidy. Debris is cleared. Helpful signals are sent. Then growth begins. Scars are avoided. The stump becomes a blueprint, not a wall. It is not only arms. If researchers remove a small part of the heart ventricle, axolotls grow heart muscle back. Within weeks to months, the heartbeat looks smooth again. There is little to no lasting scar. In mammals, a heart injury often leaves a stiff patch that does not beat. There are limits. The best data are for certain heart zones and injury types, but the contrast is still striking. Soft, living muscle returns, not a permanent patch. Cut the spinal cord of an axolotl, and it bridges the gap. New cells line the canal. Nerve fibers cross the break. Insulation on those fibers returns. Within weeks, the animal swims with control again. The key starter cells in the cord are called ependymoglial cells. Think of them as local helpers that wake up and rebuild. Parts of the adult forebrain can come back too. Regions of the telencephalon, which is the front brain that handles smell and more, can regrow. New neurons replace lost ones. Long connections link up again over weeks to months. Mammals tend to wall off such damage with scar tissue. The axolotl reopens development and restores function. Here is a bonus twist. The axolotl carries a giant genome, about 32 billion base pairs. That is around 10 times our genome size. Scientists first pieced it together to chromosome scale in 2018. It is packed with repeats and seems to go with slow cell cycles. That may help explain the slow and careful pace of this animal. It grows and it heals on a long schedule. Yet it still replaces complex organs in a few weeks or months. Big genome does not mean it can regrow. It is a hint, not a verdict. Why not leave the water and grow up like other salamanders? The home of the axolotl gives a clue. The canals in Xochimilco are cool and alkaline. Springs fed them. At high altitude, there was less push to crawl onto land. Staying aquatic with gills was a solid plan. They reach sexual maturity with those gills still waving. In captivity, they often grow to 23 to 28 centimeters. They can live 10 to 15 years. You can force a change with thyroid hormone in a lab, but it is stressful and risky. The natural plan is to remain a larva-shaped adult. Here is a wild test most animals would fail. Can you do it again and again? Axolotls can regrow the same limb multiple times. At least 5 rounds have been reported. Late in the series, small quirks may show up. A bone a bit shorter, a finger slightly off, but the arm still forms and works. The body seems to keep a map of position. Upper arm, forearm, wrist, palm, fingers. It rebuilds parts in the right order each time. That repeat power is why labs still use axolotls to learn how a body plans and wires complex shapes. If you are enjoying this tour of animal superpowers, subscribe to Faunary. We make simple, wonder-soaked stories like this every week. Now, the hard part. In their home waters, wild axolotls have crashed. One set of surveys saw about 6,000 per square kilometre in 1998. By 2008, fewer than 100 per square kilometre. In 2013, some standard routes found none at first. Later, a few turned up in quiet side channels. Most axolotls you meet today trace back to that Paris stock from 1863, a global lab animal born from a shrinking lake world. The species is listed as critically endangered. The canals still hold life, but it is fragile. So here we are, an adult animal that never grows up, a creature that turns injury into a plan and grows the missing part back. Evolution did not just prevent damage in this lineage, it learned how to undo it. If this made your day a little weirder and brighter, stick around, subscribe and drop a like if you enjoyed it. There are more creatures on the channel that bend the rules, from deep-sea hunters to tiny tanks that survive space. Thanks for watching and see you next time.